Hi, Humble Rookie here, and welcome to the video. So, I wanted to provide an update on the build I've been working on, which, oh shit, I might have fallen off. Okay, now I'm on more or less solid ground, my bad. Yeah, no, but as I was saying, I wanted to provide an update to a build that I was working on. I wanted to talk a little bit about what I've changed since the last time I've been on here. I have removed all of the power towers, or at least not from down there. I have removed all the power towers that were littering the exterior of the wall. Everything has now been replaced. There's now actual power conduits inside of the wall, so now I can just use my drone pack to float around so I can finish the build. I have since also finished up all the gaps. Not finished up, but closed up most of the gaps that go around the sides of this, which I'll get in the cannon here in a little bit so you can get a better view of it once I get a chance. Oh yeah, and to explain what all this is down here, I was going through so much plastic and concrete that I started making concrete on site and just having plastic brought in. But yeah, I went through quite a bit of it. Okay, so now that we're flying through the air, please excuse my hands, we can get a better view of what I was talking about. So all of this exterior is already done. I see there's a small gap right there.
Please remember to stay within your designated zone as stated in your condition of this contract.
Ignore her for a second, but yeah, everything is done back here. Bottom trim is done. There's maybe a few gaps that I will probably go through and finish up, but all the major stuff is done. And I think I've already decided on the main color scheme, which I'm not going to worry about painting this all until I get near to the end of this. Okay, so now that for the most part, everything from the last video has been kind of cleaned up, I really just wanted to talk about what needs to happen next to get the exterior done, and there's only a handful of things that need to be done. First and foremost, I need to finish the helipad. I might be bringing up a clip of what it looks like in Armored Core 6, or maybe a photo, but I've got to finish the helipad that's in that bottom left corner right there, as well as the supporting rails that go on it. That's what I'm currently working on right now, since that seems to be the next easiest step. Okay, coming down here, as you can kind of see, I don't actually have the ceiling done, nor do I have the roadway, since in the actual game in Armored Core 6, this appears to be a road raid in the... not road raid, there appears to be a road in the game that, while I never see any trucks use or move, I do see that there's actual street signs, not street signs, but signage and paintage of it, so I'll probably end up having some trucks here moving material in between this entire building itself, but next thing I want to do is go ahead and get the bottom area finished up. At the very least, I want to get the interior walls and the bottom floors, or the ceilings, or however, whatever you want to call it. But I want to not have it be a massive gap here or down over there in the circular area, since that's where the actual nuclear power plant's going to be. So I'm probably going to end up closing that off and making that go all the way straight down into the ocean. Alrighty, the next two things I've got to do, which that's actually convenient that I took that. I've got to add two round circular protrusions, one on this side of the launch point and one on the opposite side. I haven't necessarily figured out how big I want them to look, since I try to give myself a little space here just so I had room to get them built, just so they look proper, but we'll see what I do with them. I'll come back to those a little bit later. That's going to be the last thing I want to do when it comes to the outside. But for now, I'm going to start working on the helipad, and I'll check back in once I get at least this top area done. But, update. I have since finished the helipad. I'll get a better view of it here in the daytime. I'm going to do some cleaning up real quick to get rid of these power towers that I was using to clean and finish everything else up. The side pillars are done, as well as the bottom side and the roads. Let me just clean a couple of these things up, and then hopefully by then it'll already be morning and we can get a better view of all of this. Hi, Z-buffering. Painting this thing is going to be a real bitch, dude. I really wish I would have been better about painting this as I was getting the exterior built. But I think what I'm going to do at this point when it comes to paint is... oh shit, I ran out of jet fuel. Yeah, no, as I was saying, so I think when it comes to painting this, what I'll probably end up doing is from here on out, I will choose primary colors for blueprints. Kind of like how I have these walls are already set up, that's going to be the color I'm going to use for the walls. I'm going to primarily focus on making blueprints and making sure that the color for those blueprints is already set to what I'm going to use for the watch point itself. She's looking good. The pillars, I really do like the pillars. I'll have to probably clean these up since they weren't super planned out all that well, but at least at a distance, they get the job done. But here, let's clean up the rest of these power towers. Hi, real quick, editing Humble here. So I actually wasn't done yet. I forgot to finish this secondary heliport expansion. I don't know what you want to call it, which It's not really done yet. There's still some minor details to finish, but I at least wanted to get the... Okay, fuck off, radiation. I wanted to go ahead and get, like, the main part of the structure done, and I'll get, like, all the finer details on this done when I get the finer details done on the main structure. But now, with this being done, all the major components of the exterior are done. And let's go ahead and just go through them real quick while I run out of fuel and not die. And let me see if I can get this to work out the way I'm hoping for it. I have since finished all of the flooring, all of the ceilings, and all of the walls for the bottom section as well. Oh, there it is right now. So let's go and hop in here. Wow. She doesn't look too bad, man. Okay, so yeah, going over what I finished. Both of these pillars, at least the main design is done. Now, they're not perfectly symmetrical. They're at least in the right area where they're supposed to be at, which, wow, I'm actually happy with how they came out. But main part of the structure is done. I'll get some minor details done. I need to finish up whatever's going on down there. Here, let me hop into this cannon real quick so I can get a better view and reset my fuel. Pay no attention to the Super Destroyer. But yeah, since last time, I've already gone ahead and finished up the heliport in the corner as well. The entire structure has all of the underside, the floors done. And I think that's really it. After this, we can move on towards doing some of the major stuff, which I think from here on out will probably be the interior, which I'll show you what the interior looks like once we get a better view of it. But first, let's finish looking at the heliport, because I'm actually really happy with how this helicopter pad came out. Dude. Now, let's get a look at the inside so we can see what's going to be next, which, well, is the interior. God, dude, just standing close to this thing really gives me the scale of how big this thing is, because I have never made anything anywhere near this big and satisfactory. But here, let's check out what the interior looks like right now, which it's definitely nowhere near done. Okay, so now that I got a better vantage point, so, going off the watch point, this little room right here that we saw earlier, that's just going to be the little entryway. That's already basically done in terms of how big I want it to be. I wanted it to line up against these walls on the left and the right. As for the main structure in the center, it's going to be a giant circular room with a pillar of nuclear power plants in the center. As for how I'm going to get water to come in through them, since technically in the actual picture, or at least in Armored Core 6, I think the structure in the center goes from the bottom all the way up, but I don't believe it actually touches lower. You know what? Let me pull up the pictures. Let me actually see what it looks like, because I went through the effort of actually taking pictures of this. Like, I went through the effort of taking screenshots in the game. So, let's look at this together. What a handsome fellow he is over here. Thank you for posing for it. So yeah, so this is the interior. This is that little room that you just saw me enter not too long ago. So we'll get the finer details of this done later, like the lighting, the stairs, and anything else. I'm not really too concerned about it. What I'm going to work on next is creating this inside of the circular area of the room. So that is essentially what we're looking to build here for the most part. So, I might end up hiding a lot of the production since I'm in my plan is to have everything needed for nuclear production, from the bare ass minerals all the way until you get to the waste, and to even sinking additional rods and whatnot. That's what I'm trying to do here. I do wish I could have planned this a little bit better, and in some regards, I kind of wish I would have made it smaller. That way I wouldn't have to make the back flat, since, well, in case you're not aware, I don't know if hardly anyone watched the first video, but the reason I had to make the back flat was because of this.
Fixit property will not function outside of Fixit.
I've literally hit the edge of the world with how big the structure is, and believe me, I've looked. This was the biggest part on the map that had unobstructed ocean for me to do this on, because I tried doing this originally down here, and if I'm not mistaken, I think part of the old structure is still here. Same with over here, I tried near the swamp, and I did try this area here, which that's actually not too far from here. Let me get a little bit closer, you can kind of see what I'm talking about. that would have been out there. But even then, that spot was not big enough for what I was, planning, which now I'm looking back in hindsight. If I were to redo this again, or if I were to actually start over, I think I'd make it maybe about 30% smaller. Probably not half the size, but I think I'd make it 30% smaller just because it's a bit overkill for what I mean, I think even if I were to do everything for nuclear power in here, I think I'll still have space. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to at least doing the interior and getting this project done, since honestly, I've been working on this for so long now that I'm just ready to go back to working on other projects like the Super Destroyer off at the distance, the tower around that, and just a bunch of other halfway done projects that I've been working on. But yeah, we'll see how this looks on the next one. And if you're still here watching, thank you. Have a good one.